Okay, so apparently I talk a lot and I got cut off in the last video, so apparently I need to talk faster. So if you hadn't already done this, then you want to pause these and try this one. But just as a recap, you do not need to show me all the different steps. You just have to know that the properties allow you to do this. So for like this one, you're just going to add the two numbers and then add the letter to it. That's as simplified as you can get because you don't know what the A stands for. Same with this one. You're just going to add the two fractions and then add a C to the end of your answer. Just remember, when you're adding fractions, you need to have a common denominator. This one is multiplication, so you are just going to multiply the numbers together and then attach it to the end because that answer is going to be your coefficient. So if you didn't already do that, pause and try that. Okay, so now we're going to do practice with that multiplication property of 0. So if you remember from the notes, anything times 0 is 0. So when I'm simplifying this problem, 9 times 0 times p, the final answer is just going to be 0 because you're multiplying by 0. So they are showing you the associative property that they're regrouping, which is kind of ironic because there's no parentheses in this anyway, so I guess that's a typo. But if there were, I'm assuming that they had the parentheses around the 0 and the p, and now they have them around the 9 and the 0. You do not need to show me this step. You just have to understand that because this property exists, you can do this part in your head. All you need to know is that anything times 0 is 0, so that's your final answer. Part B is showing an example of 4.5 times r times 1. This is showing you the multiplication property of 1. So this is showing you that anything times 1 is itself. So of course they have to break down the steps. So they made a mistake again because they're regrouping when there wasn't any regrouping. But you have to assume that with this mistake that the parentheses must have originally been around the 4.5 and the r. And now they switched them to the r and the 1. And then they're doing 4.5 times r is your final answer. Anything times 1 is itself. So r times 1 is r, and then r times 4.5 is 4.5 times r. You can write it just like a letter next to a number like we've been talking about. So that 4.5 really just becomes the coefficient again. Numbers only become coefficients when you're doing multiplication. Okay, so I want you to try these two. You're writing it in simplest form, so all you need to do is add whatever you can possibly add and then stop when it's pretty much as you can do. You don't know what the S stands for and you don't know what the H stands for, so you can only go so far. So for this one, you're multiplying as much as you can. This one, you're adding as much as you can. Okay, so pause and try those in the back of your notes. Okay, now we're going to apply a word problem to this. So it says you and 6 friends play on a basketball team. A sponsor is paid $100 for the league fee, X dollars for each player's t-shirt, and $68.25 for trophies. Write an expression for the total amount the sponsor paid. First of all, you always got to remember if it's you and 6 friends, how many people is that? 7 people. So we know that we're adding $100 for the league fee. Plus, because we want to find a total here, X amount of dollars for each player's t-shirt. We don't know how much the t-shirts are, but we do know that we're buying 7 of them because there's 7 people. So what you would write is 7X, 7 times how much each shirt is, plus $68.25 for trophies. So this is just going to recap pretty much what I said, and you're going to get $100 plus $7 per t-shirt. So 7 t-shirts times however much money they cost, plus $68.25. Then they want us to simplify this as much as we can. Very important here. Since this is addition, we're going to be adding as much as we can. However, you can only add the constants. If you remember correctly, constants are the numbers all by themselves. So we can add the 100 and the 68.25 together to get 168.25 and then add the 7x to it. You can't add a 7 because the 7 is attached to the variable. That would mess up your order of operations because that means multiplication. So you can't add the 7, just the constants, the numbers that are all by themselves. All right, so if you need to rewind and watch that, because I know that was a little bit tricky, watch it again. If you're good, I want you to try this all by yourself. Same type of thing. They want to find the total number of programs on each amount of nights. They're giving you this amount on the first night, P amount on the second night, 520 on the third night. They want you to write an addition problem and then simplify it as much as you can. So pause and try that one. All right, last thing is going to be these three. So this is just one more recap of what we just talked about in all of the notes. One, I want you to simplify the expression. So remember, if it's multiplication, just multiply whatever you can. Multiply whatever you can. The letter is obviously going to just stay the letter. For the addition one, you're just going to add whatever you can. But I also want to see if you can write down which property this is. There's a 0 here with multiplication and a 1 here. And this one looks like adding with a 0. So hopefully you can remember what property that is. Look on your notes if you need help. All right, so make sure you have all this done. All the examples where you were supposed to pause and bring this to school tomorrow because we're going to go over it and see how you did.